Okay, welcome to my Microsoft flight simulator. We're flying from McCall Airport, or Muni, over to Johnson Creek in an ultralight, which typically would not be done, but what the heck, it's a sim. But the question is, can it be done for real? So, I'm going to bring up first, try and get the information we're going to need to do that flight. And let's go in here. We're going to go in here and find out what Johnson Creek's number is, assigned designation is. So let's go with Johnson Creek, Idaho. That's where it's at. A very popular place to fly to by most pilots. Exception would be ultralights because they just don't do it. And 3U2 is the actual assigned number for the airfield there. So now that we've got that, 3U2, we're going to go into SkyView, or SkyVector, excuse me. And up here we're going to put 3U2 and go. And there's a little plus on the screen, and that's where Johnson Creek should be. Let's hit this again, see if it'll recenter. There's Johnson Creek. Okay, so looking around here, the star and these three little dots or extensions here, this means this airport has fuel, which is kind of important because ultralights are limited to 5 gallons. So you want to get to the closest one you can. Cascade down here might be a little far, because if you look at Johnson Creek, you notice there is no fuel there. Now, I did read online they do bring in fuel if you request it. It's going to be a surcharge, pretty good size. But nothing else around. You see all these other airports or airfields. None of them have any fuel. So we're going to take off from McCall here, and it is MYL. And so what we're going to have to do is pull in a little application called Avare, and we're going to use that here in a minute. This is a Android emulator, so it's running Avare to help guide me to the correct location. So we have the MYL and 3U2, so we can go ahead and get rid of our browser, bring up Microsoft Flight Simulator, and let's go in here. You can see I've got the top rudder already in there. McCall I've typed in there. It's really easy. You just go into you can either find it in the history or you can type it in MYL. And it comes up with several different, and there it is, KMYL. So that's McCall. And that's where we want to take off from. Our destination is going to be 3U2. Johnson Creek. Very good. So there's our distance for 29 nautical miles. And we're going to put this pretty early in the morning. Let's back this up a ways. Or should we just go live right now? No, we'll leave it. We'll leave it where it's at. You can go to live, and it's totally as if the weather is now, which looks kind of cloudy, so that may not be too good. Since this is going to be just kind of a simple flight, let's go ahead and shut off live weather and go to custom. We'll go ahead and leave it the time of day and all that, but we need to shut the live weather off. And let's see if we can set the flight conditions are much better. Okay, there we go. Now it's going to load up. And we also need to add in and get our Avare started. So let me start this up. And we're going to go into our plan. And I've already got this loaded, or already keyed in. So there's Johnson Creek. So I'm just going to load it. Normally you would just go down to this bottom section in Avare and type in either the waypoints, or in this case I typed in MYL, said search, it came up, I said add, and did the same thing for Johnson Creek. since we've got our flight information in there for tracking on the map or sectional, we'll go ahead and switch it to active, switch it back over, and there's our flight path, except for this doesn't work real well for us. It's kind of dangerous to try and go this way because it's too high. And let's see, you know what I did fail to, I think I just did it a minute ago. No. What we want to do, let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this or not. No, I don't want to exit, cut it out. I thought I had that. Or I could rubber band it. I might be able to do it here. This is a straight flight straight through, so that's no good. And let's go back over here, otherwise the plane will take off all by itself. We don't want that to happen. Okay, get flight sim out of the way. And let's see if we can make this. We need to actually fly through this. And then come down to Johnson Creek. So I've never done it inside of the sim. No, that's not what I want. Let's try it here. Or actually through the emulator, I should say. Let's go here. Okay, plus to plan. Ah, there we go. Gonna go here. Plus to plan. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, there we go. Gonna cut across right through there. Come down this way. Plus to plan. Let's move these around because it's doing some wonky stuff on me here. Come on. It's not allowing me to move this. That's no good. There we go. Okay. And we could probably clear these mountains here, but probably also not a great idea. So let's see if we can get one here. Plus to plan. Yep, that'll work. Will this let me move this one? Yes, it does. There we go. And we'll probably need one up here. Go around that. There we go. And I'd really rather do a straight-in approach, so let's go over here. Plan. There we go. So that's going to be our flight plan. Let's see if I can actually move that over into that area and pull one down here. Let's see if we can add one there. There we go. That's a little better. And that will actually get us in to Johnson Creek. Now this first one that's purple here, that's first leg, so that's pretty much what the map's going to show us. Go ahead and put this back where it's supposed to be so you can see it over on this screen. And there we go. Get that in place. And let me go ahead and bring up Flight Sim. It's a little bit dark outside there in Johnson Creek, or in McCall at this time, but we're going to go ahead and fly it anyway. So there are no flaps or other things on this airplane. It's just strictly all by hand. It's kind of a pain sometimes to fly it, but let's get it off the ground and see if we can get on our way. So throttle up, and we go ahead and throw the joystick forward to get the tail off the ground. It should pop up. There it goes. Pull back on the stick and we are off the ground. Now you should fly to the end of the runway before you break off, so we'll go ahead and do that. And if you look up in that little map on top, you'll see that the plane is moving. One thing I don't like about the top rudder is that it does not have trim on the elevator, so this is totally by hand, and it's kind of a pain in the behind, to be honest. You can't trim it, so you're constantly holding on to the stick flying it. kind of a pain. You can put, the funny part is you can put trim controls on any plane, electric trim controls on just about any plane. So it's no big deal to do so on something like this. And it sure makes it a lot easier because then you can level out the climb and all that without a problem. All right. And not have to mess with the stick as much as I do with this one. So let's go ahead and get in our turn, get in the direction we need to go, and we're going to need to climb big time. Okay. Switch outside so we can get some instruments. So you can see I'm really close to the, oops, there we go, I was really close. I want to hold this about 30 knots or so. And boy, is it going all over the place. It'd help if I could see. Man, what is, there's a wind. There's got to be a wind. I'm fighting this puppy. Come on back. Let's get back in the plane. Get back online. There we go. Okay, now I'm getting that plane back on the line there. Man, it's fighting me big time. We got to get some altitude, and I still need to, okay, that's looking good right there as far as we're pretty much on course. I do need to scoot over a little to the south side, so we'll pull down a little bit. We need to climb though. And this thing don't like to climb. Wow, there it goes again. Alrighty. You may ask if I've done this before, and I have. I have flown to Johnson Creek in the top rudder a couple of times. Though I'm thinking I should have picked more in the during daylight. We'll see how this goes. Up 30 knots, okay, that's good. What I've found is, okay, I'm going to put it on pause for a second and scoot this over a little bit. It's too far. I need to be able to see some of this other information here. There we go. And go ahead and pick it up again. Ooh, 27 knots. There we go. Whoa, baby. Kind of got off balance there. Get back over here. Wow. I may need to start this over. In fact, I think I'm gonna, guys. This is terrible. Let's go back to restart, see if we can't get a more light. Cannot fly without light. Oh, 5:39 p.m. That ain't gonna work. So we're gonna go back to restart. Goofed on that one big time. No. here we go again. Let's try this again. Okay, McCall. And I don't see 3U2, which is Yellow Pond, which is Johnson Creek. And yeah, let's go ahead and leave that as is. Everything looks good there. Let's try this again. By the way, that Avare that's up here in the corner, since it's running on an emulator, if you have a Microsoft application, Microsoft Windows computer, I should say, you can run the emulator application, and as long as you got a GPS connected, this will work. It also natively runs on Android, but for this demonstration, I'm running it on my Windows 10 computer that's running the actual flight sim. And that way you can actually see what I can see. This is, the Avare is real. I mean, it's built for flying. It's built to do this, not just for gaming. Come on, there it goes. Okay, let's go. Ready to fly. That's much better. Much better. Okay. Let's go ahead and get off the ground here. If you look outside, make sure everything's working like it should. And everything looks good. So we're going to pop back inside and throw the throttle forward, throw the stick forward. There we go. And get that tail off the ground, get her moving. Tails up, full throttle. A little bit back on the stick, and away we go. Much better than that trying to fly this thing at 5 o'clock at night. That's for sure. That was crazy. And if you're wondering, I have 3 different monitors here, 3 36-inch monitors that I use. This has the actual broadcast on this side. The center is my actual flight, and then on the right I have Avare. And like I said, you're supposed to stay over the runway as you depart, and then you would radio out that this would be calling out to McCall traffic. You know, top rudder, whatever, ultralight, departing to the east. So as soon as we get over the into the runway, we can go ahead and pretty much now go ahead and turn her to the east. And let's see how we're doing here. Okay, straighten it out a little bit, overshot. So you see those mountains straight ahead, that's what I'm heading for. Of course. And like I said, this is a real booger because there's no elevator or aileron trim. There's no autopilot on this little thing. Which is, you know, most ultralights don't have them. I don't know of an ultralight that does. I'm sure somebody has put one on, and I do plan to put one on my Badland F5 when I get it. But need to be able to fly by hand anyway. Let's see. Yep, good speed. These mountains come up fast, and they are 7,000 to 9,000 feet. So while at this altitude, which is 5,000 feet, need to get up to 7 real quick. And it is a slow flight. This is 40 minutes, so this will be 40 minutes of just to get there. And like I said before, I have flown there once before, and it was in the Top Rudder 103 Solo too. Also called SOL, S-O-L 103. It's kind of funny because you look at this airplane and you know, you take a look around it. Oh, let's go this way. There we go. And you wonder that the plane weighs in at 254 pounds. Whoops, too much. And then you look at something like the Badland airplane and you go, okay, how does it also weigh actually less than 254 pounds? And it has skin, you know, fabric covering on the outside, including, you know, the cockpit area. So what do they put in this one that makes it weigh that much? Because there's really not a lot there. You know, there just isn't. Not a lot there at all. It's pretty lightweight. But it does. It weighs as much as the Badland airplane does, which is really weird. Yeah, get a little bit more speed up. There we go. Oh, not that much. There we go. We're actually shooting for right through that area right there. The map that I did in Avare is not going to be super accurate because, of course, I can't see the mountains as easy as I can from the plane. But we'll get there. We'll get in there. I do like the graphics out of this thing, though. It's amazing. If you're wondering what I'm running, this is a very old Dell Optiplex, and it's, or what we used to call Optiflops. It's a 990, a Dell Optiplex 990. It's got a 4-core processor, and I loaded it with 64 gig of memory, and I've also got a GeForce graphics card in there, pretty hefty one. I keep thinking 900 series, but I'm not sure. It's still several years old. I bought it used, and it's quite a few years old for that matter. But it's in there running. It did run 4 monitors. I did have 4. Decided to switch it back down to 3. It made the view kind of wonky looking at 4. You need an odd number basically to make it work really well. And the computer still would not run this flight simulator very well. And by the way, the graphics are on Ultra, so they're the highest level they can be for this graphics card and this computer. Now, I've seen cleaner graphics, but this is pretty good. I'm satisfied with it. And then with the memory and with the graphics card, it still would not run Microsoft Flight Simulator very well, 2020. So last step was to get and replace the hard disk drive, the regular hard disk drive, with a SSD, solid state drive. That made the difference. That made me, it went from being able to play this game barely in low graphics mode with a hard drive. The solid state drive, now I can play it in ultra mode, and it works fine. Now, I'll admit, it nails the processor. Typically, the processor is running at about 60 to 90, sometimes 100%, and the GPU is almost always in the 80 to 90% area. It's fighting it. So as you can see up in the upper right hand corner, holding about 37, 40 knots. Like to keep it down a little bit more, so I may pull back a little bit more on the stick. And it's full throttle, so we're climbing as fast as I can. So we're going to need some altitude here shortly. So we got a left turn coming up. So 7,500 feet, we're doing okay. The top rudder's maximum altitude is about 10,000. I have gotten it above that a few times, but it takes a lot of work. And it's not just going to do it on its own. You've got to find absolutely the right conditions. Gotta admit, that's not bad graphics for a very old machine. It's not bad at all. Now I'm gonna get kind of close to these mountains here, and it may get a little rough. May even crash. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Now what I mean by also having to hold the stick constantly because there is no trim, if I let go, you see what happens. We start going into a nosedive. And on the videos that I've seen of the top rudder on YouTube, they do fly it very low. So this is unusual, doing something with the plane it really wasn't probably designed or ever thought anybody would do. Okay, almost 8,000 feet. We're getting there. Slowly. And it is getting a little bumpy. That's all that air coming up the side of the mountain. It's just a little bit though. It's not bad. I flew it once where I was all over the place. I actually almost crashed the plane. It just, yeah, I almost lost control. It was bouncing so bad. And then if you look up on the map up there in the upper right hand corner with Avare, you can see the three kind of purplish blue lines that are around the plane. Those are your distance markers, so 2, 5, and 10 miles. Kind of helps to know where you're at. And I definitely plan to use this when I get my own plane. I think by the feel of it, or by the look of it, I may have. We have to go over this mountain in front of us, which is no problem. I'm above it. But really need to get some more altitude, because those mountains ahead of us are still above us. Now, being it's winter and I didn't change the time, the month for the year, the air up here's got to be pretty cold, so density altitude's not going to be a problem. I would not try this in the middle of August. Whoa, 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 whoa. Started to head to the right there for a second. That was a little too much. Okay, 8250. We're getting there. even though it's a little early on the turn here, I'm going to go ahead and try and shorten this up a bit, since we've got fairly decent altitude over the mountains here. And always trying to look for a place to land, and there's just nothing much down there. These are some pretty steep mountains. But if I had to, possibly that area on the front left, just inside of the screen on the left-hand side, you see that brownish kind of area where there's no trees? That might be an acceptable place to set down. But I wouldn't want to have to try it or have to do it. But it might be survivable. So a little bit more on the altitude if we can get it. 83, 84. Yep, bouncing around a little. But yeah, that area right to the left, you see all that? There's not a lot of trees, there's some flat areas by the looks of it. Of course, once you get down there, that may be a little different story. It may not be so flat, but it's sure flatter than any other place on this mountain range. So it'd be a place to head if you had to. Wow, I am like on the aileron to pull this to the left. Just like, there we go, finally. Some definite air pulling on me. Wind up here. It's still trying to turn me to the right. I lost some altitude also. Don't like that idea. I'd like to get up to 9,000. That'd be the safest area that I think to fly in would be. Yeah, you can see it bouncing away. I'm not moving the stick at all. It's bouncing. Almost back up there. Come on, come on. No, I don't want to go to the right yet. Whoa. Okay, I like updrafts, but I'd like to know when they happen. Before they happen, so they don't catch me off guard like that. That one just pushed the nose right up, and we gained 100 feet like instantly. You can see the red gauge with the blue lines on it in the map. There we go. Now we're back where we're supposed to be, back on track. It was kind of pissed off. That's why it was red. Wow, here we go again. It's trying hard to push me over. All right, let's go ahead and keep climbing. We're almost up to 9,000 feet. And we'll go through this little section here and just skim this mountain on the right. See, 33 knots. Well, look at that. I mean, the altitude gain is all over the place. I mean, I possibly could cut straight across the mountains to the right. I just don't think that would be just the greatest idea. Could try it though. try it and cut some time off. Let's see what happens. That's where I want to go, right there. It's too far. Woo! Right that way. Now we're over 9,000 feet, so this might work. Cut a little time off. And once I get over these mountains, I might be able to go ahead and cut some more by heading to the next waypoint. Sure like to get up to that 10,000. I don't think it's going to make it though. Sure is going awful slow. I gotta admit, it would be fun. There are some engines coming out, or at least people are talking about. Two in particular. One is a rotary style engine, not like the Mazda though, not Wankel rotary. It's a different style, and it actually provides power through 270 degrees of its rotation of the. You don't want to call it a piston, it's a cup, but it works like a piston. It accepts the power and transfers that power to, let me watch my speed here a second. This is really pushing me hard, it's fighting. It transfers the power to the crankshaft. And believe it or not, the engine weighs supposedly around 35 pounds and produces 160 horsepower. It's like, what? So if it proves that it can do what it says that it can do, or even close, that would be amazing. The other engine that's supposedly coming out, but I haven't seen anything on it. I still think it's vaporware. Man, whoa, 21 knots. I gotta get some airspeed. We're losing airspeed here real bad. There we go. There we go. Come on, settle down. Wow, that was rough. And it's still rough. I'm over these mountains. This was not a good idea. 31 knots. Man, barely even moving. Anyway, the other engine is what's called a single stroke. It actually fires dual pistons that are back to back to each other. So as one piston is going down, the other one's compressing and then fires, and it reverses the process. And by doing that, they call it a single stroke engine. And it also has enormous amounts of horsepower, capable at amazing RPMs, 16,000 something RPM. It's just crazy. And it's also very lightweight. It's 50 horsepower, and I think it was also in the 35 pound range, or maybe even less. But once again, they have to prove it. And they've been supposedly had this design for several years, or quite a few years actually. Whoa, get back over there. But unfortunately, here we go. We're going to take this other shortcut and try and cut across this, because I don't, whoa, not that far. Yeah, we're right on the edge of stall. There we go. See, it's, wow, it just wants to fall off on each side real bad. It really does. There we go. A little more speed. Steady it up. There we go. Now it's more stable. Anyway, the what engine that I'm talking about, the single stroke, it should have been out by now. With as much research and all they say they've done with it, and it should have been out. There's not one video on YouTube about it. Not one. So I don't think it's real. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, she's bouncing all over the place. Last time I did fly my flight plan, and it was bad, but it wasn't this bad. This is bad. This is bouncing really, really bad. So going directly over the mountains, probably not such a great idea. We are almost at 10,000 feet though, so I've got room to play if necessary. But so far, not too bad. Speed's not too bad, though I'd like to be going a little faster. I'll get back over here. Oh my goodness. Gotta admit, in an ultralight it would be a pretty interesting flight. A little scary too. But I'm thinking if you had, or I had, for that matter, a 50 to 160 horsepower engine that didn't weigh much on the front of an ultralight, you could probably hit 12,000, which wouldn't be too bad. Your glide distance wouldn't be too bad. It might even be acceptable. So that's you know, definitely something to consider. See, we actually go down that canyon, I believe. That might be another creek, I'm not sure. Not sure. Kind of hard to tell where you're at up here. Okay, that's the river in front of us. I'm heading right towards that waypoint, so that's not too bad. Oh, look at that, we're at 10,000 feet. Okay, I wonder if that's why it smoothed off so good. Because it really did. It's now much smoother. I just got to keep it on track, which is much easier now. That's for sure. And 10,000 is above all these mountains, so realistically I could fly straight over them to Johnson Creek. I don't know, let's see what the line looks like if I turn that direction and just do a slow, nice steady turn. So if I follow that flight plan right there, or flight path, that will take me straight to Johnson Creek. What the heck, we're at 10,173, let's give it a shot. Sure will shorten up the flight. Nope, too far to the left, or to the right of where I'm going. And believe it or not, there's an airport right below me. Wow, getting pushed around still to the left and the right, but Not bad. Keep the speed up. It helps that keeps it stabilized a little easier. So we can go over 10,000. You're seeing that right now. Yes. That does work. Whoops. Real easy with the joystick. It is really, the thinner the air, the less effective the joystick or the rudder ailerons and all that are. Of course, at 10,000 feet, it's not much for a regular airplane, but an ultralight is a lightweight airplane. It doesn't take much to really throw it off course. Wow, almost at 10,500. It's kind of a shocker. At least I know I can make it over the mountains. And let's see, we've got 2 airports within reach, one directly below me, and one just south. So if anything happened, I could just go straight down, and not straight down, but you know what I mean. So what's the advantage of flying a simulator? Well, you get to see the terrain because it is satellite terrain from Microsoft, whoever they buy it from. And you also don't die when you crash in a simulator. But if I, had a ultralight and I could get up to 10,000, almost 600 feet, there it goes. And this is what it would look like flying over there. Similar, not of course, who knows how old the graphic images or the pictures, satellite imagery, whatever you want to call it. Who knows how old it is? Things could have changed. I mean, it's not going to show if one hill's all black that a fire came through last year. It's just not going to do that. We're definitely making some time here. Oh man, the hand's getting tired. I also like to fly the Savage Cub. Come on, get back over here. Because it does have elevator trim. It doesn't have an autopilot, but it does have elevator trim, and it means I can trim the plane in, and I don't have to worry about altitude. It holds it pretty well. Where this one bounces around all over the place. I also flew the 747-8 and come on, wow. Just starts to fall off in one direction and keeps going. In the Microsoft simulator, and other than being a booger to get off the ground, it wasn't too bad. I have the altitude and vertical speed controls and all that, trim, flaps, all that. I have one of those little Logitech boxes. And I shouldn't say little because it's actually pretty big with digital display. And once I got the plane off the ground, I just dialed in 10,000, or was it, it was 1,000 vertical feet per minute and for climb out, and I set the altitude at 32,000 feet and hit the AP button, autopilot, and away it went. I haven't tried to land it. I imagine landing it is probably even a bigger booger than taking off. Taking off, believe it or not, was a pain. It's a real fine line as to where that plane flies. I got a little bit too low and the speed, and it started dropping like a rock. I got too high, and the speed indicator alerts that you're going too fast. And it was maybe 15 or 20 knots difference in trying to control the speed of an airplane like that. It's difficult. Once I hit the autopilot, it took care of the speed issue and everything else for me. It's like, oh, okay. So basically, pilots that fly 747s, they can fly them manually. They are skilled at that, but most of the time they don't have to. Come on, stop it. Excuse me. Holy crud. All over the place. Some turbulence again. But it says we're almost to 11,000 feet. I can't believe that. Man, I wish I had trim. If I could trim this thing out, it would probably, he'd be doing 50, 55 knots right now on a level flight. That would be cool. I'll have to fly the Cub in this way one day. See if I can do that, trim it out, and see how fast it can get in there and back. 44 seconds to the next point. Come on. So I think I'm going to bring it back this way and get more towards on track now. I don't want to end up having to fight to get in the canyon, and it is a canyon that you're bringing the plane down. If you've seen Trent Palmer or any of the others fly into Johnson Creek, you find out it's nasty. There's not much room. I love that they say they actually show you on the map. If you go look at the Idaho Department of Recreation or Department of Parks or whatever, they do show Johnson Creek, and they do show the regular traffic pattern. It's a standard left downwind for both runways. But on your right hand or on your left hand side, the runway is 500 feet down. On your right hand side, the ground is 100 feet down because it's so steep. It's kind of crazy. And it specifically states they do not like or do not recommend straight-in approaches, but everybody that I've seen do it does straight-in approaches, on YouTube. So that really kind of surprises me, is that they say that. Don't do a straight-in approach, but everybody does. And because of the type of terrain it is, I fully understand why. I wonder why he always puts his hands down when you go to the outside view. Watch, let's see this. Okay, so we're inside. Boink! I think it's just because the simulator's putting him in place. No, I didn't say up, I said left. Not that far. Yeah, that canyon just 11,000 feet. Holy crud. Well, I knew the density altitude wasn't going to be a factor. And it doesn't appear to be. Alright, let's see if I can fly this with the left hand and go here to the no plat available. Okay. So Johnson Creek. Pattern altitude is 5960. And runways are 17 and 35. So 170 and 350. We'll come in on 170. I'm still going to do the straight in approach, even though they recommend not doing that. Okay, we're back down. Below 10,000 or 11,000 feet, but not by much. So 3 minutes to our next turn point, and actually at this point, it's right there to the right. If you look where the temperature gauge is on the right-hand side, right down to the right, we need to go down there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull back on power and start heading down that direction. So we need to lose some altitude big time. Ears must be popping here shortly. We actually come around this turn up ahead and should be going straight in. Come on, let's get below 10,000. I don't want to dive. Okay, 9,005. VSI says 3,000 feet per minute. That's not going to be fast enough. Let's see if we can go down faster. We only got 1 minute and 23 seconds till we get there. Be ready on the throttle again. Okay. Oh, there's the house. Okay. You're not supposed to fly over the house. But we aren't over the house, so we're okay there. You go ahead and hit some throttle. So I'm not seeing a runway. Where's the runway? There it is. Right up ahead. You see it? It's right there. Three knots. It's a little. There we go. It's starting to bleed off a little bit. Okay, let's kill it. And we're down. Throttle off. Welcome to Johnson's Creek. So you can see it is possible in a Solo 103 ultralight to get here. Of course, that may not be totally accurate, saying it's possible. Don't see any place to park. See if we can swing it in here without hitting this other plane. Close enough. Close enough. Could lift it up and push it in from this point. Anyway. So that's the flight to Johnson Creek from McCall. It does work, which is kind of cool. You can get there. One of the things I don't like about Microsoft Flight Sim is in other aircraft other than ultralights, when you shut off the ignition, you get actually, it logs your time. And unfortunately it doesn't. See, it doesn't back out and say "Ding," and bring up all your wonderful flight information. And for instance, let's see, let's go back here. And get into the regular window and interface. There we go. Go to Profile and Logbook. And it will show it. There we go, ultralight. Yep, McCall to Johnson's Creek. And I think, let's see how many times I've actually flown there. There we go. So quite a few times I've gone in there. And most of them with the ultralight, but I have done it with the Savage from 3U2, so from Johnson's Creek. Let's see if I've gone in there with it. No, I actually haven't taken the Savage into taking it out, but not into. So anyway, pretty cool. I love the flight simulator, and can hardly wait to get my actual ultralight and go flying myself. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.